Hi guys, today is the 21st of December 2020 and it's 42 minutes past 1 in the afternoon over here in the UK. Try and do this video quickly, but I'm not sure that I can. So bear with me because there's a lot to cover. Basically, what I'm going to do in this video is I'm going to try and match real world reports that we've been having over the last year with the events that we see depicted in the IPEC Goat 2 video. So the first one I want to talk about is the goat in the box. We know that a young goat is called a kid, and that's what this appears to be. It's in a box which could be resembled as a cage down by a fenced area, which could be classified as a border. So in my interpretations, I believe that this could be connected to the kids in cages that we heard so much about. That report that came out, I already spoke about it, where lawyers can't find the parents of 666 migrant kids. Now, I think that connects to this particular scene. We have a barcode of 666 on the kid's head in the box. So you see how I've connected that particular scene from the IPEC Goat 2 video with this report from the real world. And then we have, sorry, things are moving a bit slow on my computer. Then we have the anti-lockdown militias on the streets of Michigan that we heard about, coming up to the election and going on, and the people that were coming out during the riots and stuff that were going on earlier this year. And I feel that has some connection to the man we see on the box who's walking a dog, or the dog appears to be walking him. And we have the gun in hand, the hat, which I've connected with, the MAGA hat, and those die-hard Trump supporters that appear to be willing to kill people on behalf of Donald Trump. So I've connected those two reports from the real world with this first scene here in the IPEC Goat 2 video. And then we had the nor'easter that happened recently, which dropped snow all along the East Coast. Well, not all along the East Coast, but the upper part of the East Coast. There's still snow on the ground in some places. For example, this is a shot of Coney Island boardwalk. As you can see, there's snow all along the ground here. So we have, again, a connection to a scenario, or at least the weather part of it in this video, where there's snow all throughout this video. So that's possibly another representation of the nor'easter. And nor'easter as well is a swirling movement, and we've often picked out the hurricane sort of scenario with the swirling head of the goat, the swirling eye, and the George Bush character. When he swirls his head around, we've assumed that that is a connection to some form of weather pattern, like a hurricane or something like that, as you can see just there. And then we have the explosion, or the underground eruption happening, and then his hand moves across in that wave type motion. So I'm thinking potentially the swirling head part of the motions that he was doing is connected to the nor'easter that we saw happen across the East Coast just a few days ago. And then when this video is beginning with the George Bush part, let's put the sound on for this, turn it down because it's on full volume. We hear that tapping sound he's making with his feet, that tap dancing. And in a previous video, I listened to the tap dancing because a lot of people said it was Morse code, and I agreed. And what I could discover was the word SARS. And now I know that SARS is part of the coronavirus family. And obviously that's one of the viruses that we're dealing with right now, cause shutdowns, lockdowns, and all sorts of things. That was to be looked out for in December 2019. I made that video in June of 2019. And obviously, we all know now that in December 2019 is when the coronavirus, well, that's when they say the coronavirus emerged out of China and, started spreading across the world. But also, I've interpreted the tap dancing as keystrokes on a keyboard. It sounds like that tapping, very fast tapping associated with hackers. And obviously, we've had reports of the major cyber attack that's being blamed on the Russians against the US government, infiltrating many of their systems, including nuclear systems, which again kind of brings me back to the beginning of the video where I see these two towers in the background. Turn that off. See these two towers in the background. Obviously, it's supposed to remind us of the Twin Towers 9/11. That's because this is referencing, in our opinion, a second 9/11. But I believe that these kind of look more like power plant cooling towers, or nuclear waste cooling towers, or chemical plant cooling towers, some sort of factory. And it looks like it's in meltdown with all the black smoke around it, which could be caused by a cyber attack or a blackout. And if, for example, they're blaming the Russians for this attack and saying that they've gained access to their systems, it could be, at some point in the future where that attack actually takes place and, a nuclear power plant melts down or a chemical plant sets on fire. I hope it doesn't happen, but we'll just have to keep our eyes out. Then we've got today, which is the winter solstice, and we've had the report of Jupiter and Saturn coming so close together that they look like one giant star, and the star has been referenced as the Star of Bethlehem. Again, as soon as you hear that, you think to the Bible, look out for the signs in the moon, the stars, and the sun. And obviously, we had an eclipse just a couple of days ago on December the 14th, the only solar eclipse of 2020. And then a couple of days after, we're having this giant celestial event in terms of Jupiter and Saturn coming together. And again, in this track, the Jupiter and Saturn part may be referenced with the children in the classroom, these two just here. Their heads joined together like conjoined twins, but one of them has a ring around his eye, not only possibly referencing an eclipse, but also possibly referencing Saturn, as Saturn is the one with the rings. And they're kind of joining together just around this, probably better when it's dark, just around this empty negative space here, which appears to be the silhouette of a reindeer, giving me a reference to December the 25th. And since the 15th has passed and nothing happened with Donald Trump, the events that I was looking out for there, I can only kind of look at this in this month as the 25th, taking these two marks as the number 2, and then reusing this mark as part of the number 5 to make the number 25, so December 25th. Keeping an eye out for that. If something like that happens, December 27th, I've also got to watch. Moved on from December 18th for the blackout. The number 27 I've talked about a lot on my channel, and you can find a lot of videos referencing that time period. But yeah, it looks like, again, something happening in the real world may have been depicted in the I Could Go To video, just with these two connecting together to form what would potentially be the Star of Bethlehem. And then we have federal executions. They have started again. They were stopped for a long time, and in this year, 10 people have been executed, which is the most, as you can see in the headline there, since 1896. And that's a really, really long time. And for some reason, the Trump administration is speeding up executions, and that just made me think of the hangman on the board. This reference to executions. And what's interesting is that they're bringing back different ways of executing people. So, the lethal injection is predominantly the way that people are executed, but there's obviously, different ways: electric chair, hanging. I'm not even going to keep going because it's a bit disturbing, but it's possible that hanging could be brought back, which is barbaric. But also at the same time, as I've mentioned, this hangman references a broken circuit. You can see here, this is where it should connect, but it doesn't. And we have a lot of references to a blackout in this video. And as I said, one of the dates I'm keeping an eye out for that happening on is December 27th. Just to keep, but also, December 25th, that'll be pretty harsh. Christmas Day blackout. Keep that in mind, just in case, just be prepared, because if it happens, you don't want to be kind of surprised and shocked by it. Other references in this video that seem to have taken place: the fire of the Notre Dame Cathedral, which a lot of us associated with the church at the end of this video, where we see that church collapse. The most convincing part is the part where the spire collapses, falls back into the church itself, and that motion is exactly kind of what happened with the Notre Dame Cathedral. I didn't actually select the video, so let's see if I can just quickly bring it up, and we can see if it's the video where the spire is collapsing. It may just show the fire itself. Okay, you guys, if you want to see it, just type in Notre Dame Cathedral spire collapse, and you'll find it there. I'm gonna bother because I've got plenty of other tabs to go through right now. The next tab is China puts tanks to the test in a mock street battle for Taiwan. This is something that China is preparing to do in case they need to go into Taiwan, and it's looking increasingly more like they will. They're not happy that the US has signed a deal with Taiwan for weapons, and Taiwan is currently building some submarines as well. So, you know, if all these other events start taking place, then it's very possible that we could see the events in the IPEC Go 2 video where we see the Chinese tanks come out. And as I've said before in other videos, these tanks could very well be associated with China going into Taiwan, as well as a representation of North Korea going into South Korea at the same time. So, you know, they've got their mock battles going on, so it's very possible we could see these events take place. And then, so there's a lot to cover. We had the killing of Iran's top nuclear scientists, which they're blaming on Israel. At the same time, after that happened, we had the Trump administration, or reports of the Trump administration, wanting to launch an attack on Iran's nuclear facility, or their nuclear program. Now, all of this obviously could just lead up to the part we see in the video where we have the planes in the Middle East and the blowing up of the mosque or some sort of religious or important site, leading to responses. We see the B-2 planes in the background. B-2? I think B-2, yeah. And in this report, it's said that Iran was preparing for confrontation with the US after they sent B-52 bombers close to their, you know, to their territory. And it just seems like that's all sort of building up towards the conflicts that we've been looking out for over the last couple of years. And then there was this, I'm going to reload this page. There was this rare sight of the moon's elusive shadow caught by satellite cameras during the solar eclipse on December 14th. And I thought it was interesting because I've never seen a video of the moon's shadow, or what they say is the moon's shadow, moving across the Earth during an eclipse. And obviously we've had many eclipses. You'd think that we would have something on video like that, and you can see this white shadow move across the Earth. What they're saying is a reflection of the moon during the eclipse. But I also remember my interpretation coming from this part of the video here, where the girl sits in this circle, and we've often connected this with the eclipse, but something moves behind the sun, or behind the eclipse, or towards the sun, something basically that wasn't visible but then became visible during the eclipse. And I feel like it could possibly be, you know, this shadow of the moon, or at least what they're saying is the shadow of the moon, is what I was kind of referencing, something being seen during the eclipse that you can't see without the eclipse. So keep that in mind. Obviously they're saying it's the moon shadow, but as I said before, we've had many eclipses and no videos of the moon shadow moving across the Earth. So I find it suspicious that we get that in 2020, along with all these other things that I've been talking about. And then we have today, December 21st. Obviously, you guys may have heard that the UK is saying that there's a new variant of coronavirus that's ripping through the UK, 70% more um, contagious than the current variant. And we've had a lot of countries lock down their borders around us. Europe shuts down flights from the UK, Canada, Russia, basically the whole world has closed off the UK, and obviously we've got Brexit coming up at the end of the year, where that transition period is kind of over, and this has caused the UK stocks and the pound to tumble, and I'm feeling like that is connected to this part of the video we've talked about a lot, where the pound seems to have lost some of itself. It's being covered over, and I've interpreted that as the pound losing some of its value. And we know from the inside of the apple that we have a reference to 12 one way, one seed on one side, two seeds on the other, 1, 2. And then going the other way, we've got 2 and 1, which is 12, 21. We also have on this apple the volcano that we talk about. Just make that stop there. That volcano there erupting with the lava coming out. And we know, well, some of you will know if you've watched my videos, that I've connected that with Mount Etna and with Stromboli and Kilauea, and with a few other volcanoes, La Cumbre Vieja, for example, as well, La Palmas, just off the coast of Africa. And the interpretation here with the apple splitting in half is that some sort of geological event causes the volcano to erupt and split, or at least some of its flank to come off into the ocean and cause a tsunami wave. And in association with everything else that seems to be connecting with this video, this year, Mount Etna is currently erupting. It has been erupting for a few days, but just today, you can see, or maybe not see, but it says here Monday the 21st of December 2020, 12:24, that the Etna volcano, a new paroxysm from southeast crater. And a paroxysm is basically another a lava fountain episode, so lava just spewing out of the volcano. But this appears to be coming out of a new area, and the volcano has been quite active in the last couple of days. And these paroxysms, as they're calling them, are stronger than the ones that occurred on the 13th and 14th of December, which is the other days I was looking out for a volcano to erupt. When it did, I thought, seems a bit normal, and I didn't mention anything about it. But that could be one. But we also have Mount Etna, Kilauea as well, erupting today. The Kilauea volcano on the Hawaiian island has erupted. The eruption began late on Sunday, and it just seems that it's fallen in line with the 1221 reference. So today we have two volcanoes that we've been watching erupting, Etna and Kilauea, and we've also got the two planets, Saturn and Jupiter, coming together to form the kissing planets, or the Star of Bethlehem, as it's been referenced. And we have the possibility that the two volcanoes, or at least one of those two volcanoes that's erupting right now, could possibly cause a tsunami if the flanks or a side of the volcano did collapse and fall into the ocean. That is where I finished this video. There's a lot going on, as I said. Seems to be a lot of connections in the video to a lot of things that are going on right now, from the 666 kids that are missing to the militias that are on the streets, the nor'easter that dumped snow all along the east coast, the cyber attack that's just taken place, the Star of Bethlehem possible reference coming up today, the executions being sped up, the Notre Dame fire, the Chinese testing tanks on the streets of Taiwan in their mock battle, the Iranians preparing for war against Israel, the United States and Israel preparing for war against Iran, the moon's shadow, in quotes I say that, moving across the earth, something we've never seen before, but in my opinion could possibly be something different, something that they don't want to talk about just now. The UK obviously being locked down, stocks tumbling, stock market and the pound losing value, Mount Etna erupting, and Kilauea erupting. Guys, be very vigilant. That's all I can really say. In terms of looking forward, as I said, keep an eye out for that tsunami. We've still got to keep an eye out for the blackout, the events around Donald Trump. Obviously, you know, all the wars that we've been talking about between the different countries, that's something else coming. The cult rumors, something, you know, to do with perhaps Donald Trump or some other presidents involving some illicit activities. Again, one of those dates to watch out for is December 23rd. Keep an eye out for either a missile launch or some news about this cult that we've been talking about for so long. That can also be a December 31st reference, New Year's. Again, we've got more to watch out for, potential nuclear launches, houses on fire in terms of maybe Congress or, you know, churches. We've got the reference to aircraft carriers being destroyed, the Strait of Hormuz being blocked. There's so much more to watch out for, but there already appears to be so much happening. So be vigilant and careful. You guys have a good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and may the Heavenly Father bless you.